going into this right now, your recent album, Crybaby, has a lot of different themes and just elements, and it's really based on a lot of experiences from your own as well as others' perspectives. It's a very like well thought, in-depth album that you've got going on for yourself to like come off with this. Now, with that being said, was there any direct influences or inspirations that you got from this album specifically? Because we see you play around with a lot of different genres and styles from like new age soul, a little bit of like tings of pop in there, some raps that you showcase that you've got verses in there as well too. But was there anything direct or indirect that influenced this album for what it became?
No, I think I kinda like the opposite. Like, I just wanted, like you said, I wanted to, tap into as many of the different multifaceted layers of R&B that there are and kind of explore that. Like, what are the different subgenres in a way that I could explore? So nothing, no album or anything inspired the project. It was more so I wanted to showcase different variety of styles of R&B that I could do. I think it turned out really fun.
Going along with that, you're already so multi-talented at what you do, from like how you produce, how you made verses, how you can rap, sing, everything in the whole nine yards, and
Oh, thank you.
dabble with instruments, of course. But do you ever have a clear direction when you go about making these kinds of projects, or do you tend to like let everything sit in at the time and just let the moment come to you and just go off there? Or is there any specific method or strategies that you have in creating music?
I think the only strategy I would say is if it feels good, keep working on it. Then there's like this weird transition from feeling good to feeling right. Like nothing's ever right. Like it's subjective, but when it feels right to you, it's like then you can let it go. But I think the fun part about making music is that excitement and exploration moment, discovering what feels right and feels good.
For this album, you quoted saying that you were trying to be as vulnerable as you could. You wanted to show that there was depth and layers, feelings, emotions. You wanted to let people see that for once. With that being said, was there anything that was cathartic for you to actually show for yourself, allowing yourself to be vulnerable? Was this something new that you didn't let yourself do before, or was it just something you wanted to try differently and experiment with, or what was the process in with that?
That's a good question. I feel like it probably felt cathartic towards the end of the project, but while making it, I just feel like I was just so present. And then, like, kind of piggybacking off the last question, like, I just wanted to make music that felt good to me. Something that I was proud of and I could stand on as being like my first major label type of song, like type of collection of songs.
Did you have any like feelings of pressure or just hesitation, or did you feel like 100% confidence when making this record, or did you have any kind of mixed feelings or just overall unsettledness, or did you have like 100% like this is the one, I feel perfect as soon as it was mixed, mastered, engineered? Like how does it feel with this being the album that everyone's going to take in to understand this is who you are as an artist?
That's such a great question. I feel like those types of feelings come later. I don't know if other artists feel this way, but for me, when I'm making the music, I have the most utmost confidence in myself and the songs, and it's enjoyable and it's fun. But I think when you get to a point where it now goes into the world, because I don't speak for everyone, I don't know everyone's experience, you don't really know how it's going to resonate. You can have ideas, right? Like I can say like, "Oh, I'm such a music listener. I have such an eclectic taste in music," but still, you don't really know what's gonna hit everyone. So I think there's like an anxiety that comes with that of like, "Oh, I don't know," and I think I'm experiencing that right now of like, "Are people gonna listen?" Like, I'm not really if they like it or not. More so if they listen to it and understand it. I think that those types of things come once you kinda have a little bit less control of it, like, now it's in the world.
Do you enjoy the aspect of, I guess, being in the studio, having control about how it's going to sound, how it's going to go, and just working on the process and the process and the process of everything and the composition aspect of it more than it comes down to just the promotional, the touring, and the overall just anything that comes down to now like giving it away to those to like take it into, like, because now you're at the point where critics
Yeah,
can say, and not even critics
right.
but audiences and such and such.
No, right. I don't think it's to that degree. I think there's, like, levels to all these feelings, but I do think that trying the best, writing songs and performing them, like, everything else is still, like, a work in progress, whether that's how long it takes to write or work in a studio or, like, understanding the mixing and mastering aspect, even like the business side of like even organizing and constructing a tour, putting together those types of things, analytics when it comes to social media. There's a lot of things that go into this job, but I feel like my strong suit definitely comes with making the songs, well, the writing aspect and the performing of the songs. So everything else, it doesn't scare me. I'm open arm. I come, with open arms, but at the same time, we all have our strong suits and our things that we like more than the other.
Yeah, of course, everyone's got their heaven and their hells. It's just which one you're going to be in today or which one you might be in tomorrow. But either way, you can get through both overall.
Right. Exactly.
And then to further speak on the album that you've got going on with Crybaby, what was it like working with these different artists now and different creative dynamics? You've got someone who's bar for bar like Freddie Gibbs. You've got someone who can do it both ways with Anderson .Paak. You've got Zakari, who's always known for like his vocals from like what he's done with TDE, and Benny sings as well too. He's a great, great instrumentalist. How was it working with these different people from different places and paths and avenues and walks of life into this album?
Man, it was wonderful. I feel extremely grateful. I have extreme levels of gratitude for all the artists that wanted to participate. Man, especially like with the likes of like Freddie Gibbs and Anderson .Paak and Benny Sings, those guys are veterans in the game. Zakari as well. Just to have people that have been doing it at a high level on my album is such a blessing. Yeah, I mean, even to work with someone so young and their career is just the sky's the limit. A young artist named Khalil, he's super talented. Tiana Major 9. I think that's everyone.
No,
Yeah.
you covered everybody. Yeah, I believe you covered everyone.
Yeah, it was just it's really an honor, and it's awesome to be able to work with people on your level, people that are like, you can at different levels, and so I feel like I have all levels of artists on my album, like people that I aspire to be like career-wise, and people that I feel like were peers, and then people that I feel like, are developing. So yeah, I think it's just an album for music nerds, lovers of music with care.
At this point in your career, do you have a specific idea of what you want to do for the next one already? Or are you still kind of letting this one settle in because it still feels surreal about where you're at this point in your life?
I have ideas already.
Does it always feel like it's still flowing and flowing and flowing? Like, and you're just always putting pen to the paper or?
Yeah, it's just the natural evolution, I think, of how I work and how I've gotten this far is there's like a perpetual consistent, like, okay, what's next? And I just feel like that's how people that are great continue to be great. It's like you live in the moment for a little and then you move on and like, okay, what's my next challenge?
Yeah.
So right now I'm in that space where I'm living in this album and I'm excited to tour it, but I'm also living right now in the present and absorbing a lot and getting inspired again. So the writing is a constant, and I think the brainstorming and the imagining of projects and stuff is going to be a constant as well. But I think I'm always open to change and scrapping and
Yeah, of course. You can't just have like a one-track mind. You have to revision here and there and take things that,
constantly, yeah.
yes, yeah. It's a never-ending game, but it's fun when you see the beauty in it. When you see like, oh wow, if I never did that, I wouldn't have found this, or I never would have created this instead.
No, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much what Crybaby I think represents to me. Is like the perseverance of having an idea, seeing it through, keeping like, concepts, but being open and willing to like changing songs and stuff. And if I wasn't willing, I wouldn't have had like most of these songs on this project. So it's a give and take of both, I think.
And then for what we can see from you coming forward, if you can't reveal too much, then completely understand because that's just how it is. You have to keep us waiting and on our toes as the audience. But when it comes down to what you've got planned or the ideas you have, this album had a lot of different layers and elements of R&B, and just like you said, you had a lot of subgenres previously. You were saying how you wanted to showcase that you're not just a one-trick pony. You can do so much more with like these different R&B elements that are there for you. Would you want what you have coming forward to be in that similar just mold of how you want to go about with things? Do you want to consistently have different R&B elements shown? Do you want to maybe have an album that's more focused on strictly rap instead and showcase that like I'm like a top 5 MC? Or would you rather keep it to where everyone's just gonna have to wonder and have their expectations just blind at this point in this career?
That's a good question. I think right now my main focus is showing people what I can do live. I'm excited. I have a couple like live like things that are coming out on social media and other outlets that really showcase my live vocals and like all that stuff. So my focus right now is gonna be like packing out rooms and making people be like, damn, like whatever she's got going on, I want to be like,
Yeah, want to
I
invest
don't
my
wanna be
time.
like, now we're gonna do a rock album and then now we're gonna do a techno. Like I'm not gonna feed people breadcrumbs. I'm just gonna do it. So right now I think yeah, my focus is live music. It is bothering me that people are like, damn, is she rap anymore? I'm like, no.
The constant questions, like,
Yeah,
I
right.
promise you, I've got files. There's a hard drive.
But what I will say to that is that I don't think you're gonna see like something like a 4-year hiatus like that for me for a very long time. I think the releasing music is gonna be a little bit more consistent. And I think with the success of this project, depending on how that does, I'll have a little bit more creative freedom to be like, what can I put out? What am I gonna put out? Not to say I don't. I'm just saying like, with time, I'll be able to indicate, "Oh, this is what's my next move, you know?"
No, agreed. And honestly, with keeping it that way, it helps you as an artist, and also it helps the audiences now just have their expectations higher, but also a little bit more realistic, like mid-level, to be like, okay, whatever we get next, we're gonna enjoy. Because it's better to do it that way than just like say like this you can expect, and then next time we get it, and someone might be like, this isn't what I wanted, and you're like, well,
Right.
bad. Like,
I know, unfortunately, I feel like I don't know, like this my label might not like this, but I feel like I'm a very like you get what you get type of artist, you know. Even though like I did want to do an R&B album, but I was thinking like okay, I feel like people would gravitate more to my singing as a debut. But so I do compromise, but at the same time I'm like this is what we're doing and we're
yeah,
doing it.
to your point, sometimes that's honestly like, just to your label, but sometimes the artist knows better, and sometimes like by taking those risks and those opportunities that like sometimes you might be against and butt a little bit of heads here and there. But like you said, a fair compromise is always like the best way to go about it. But sometimes you're the 100% in the right, and you just take the risk, and next thing you know, you blow up, and then can't really tell you nothing after that. But nonetheless, I think it's better to showcase all of your talents still for like your first beginning, at least for your introduction to like what for a major label debut.
Right.
Imagine if we got, I'm making a Kendrick comparison again, but I think if we got To Pimp a Butterfly first before Good Kid, Mad City or Section 80,
Right, it wouldn't have made sense.
it wouldn't make much sense. We would kind of, it was better the way the route was. There's always there's a method behind the madness.
And who's to say he didn't have To Pimp a Butterfly demos during the Good Kid, Mad City times, or the idea was sparked in a different moment,
Yeah.
and through time it was brought to life. So I think that's when the best art is like a mixture of like time spent on the idea and I think also spontaneity, kind of like riding that wave between the two.
No, and it's hard to find the mix of it because you're a little bit thinking a little bit too much in the present for sometimes, and then it's hard to think about a master plan of like, here's how we're gonna plan out the next 2 years, if not even 2 months, let alone 2 days. Which
Right.
it's good to do that, but sometimes it is a little bit hard to find the common ground about like how do we go about this the best way, and it comes with mistakes and it comes with wins, but nonetheless, like you're gonna come out okay at the end, if not better. So it's just part of that, which I think with the way you're doing it with your music specifically has just been nothing but great things with how we can see what you're capable of, what you have to bring, how you separate yourself from other artists, how you can make yourself even go up in like where you have potential and where you have opportunity, but also what you've mastered and what you've perfected. So I think for what
Thank
you've
you.
got for your debut, of course, it's just nothing but flowers to give.
Man, thanks so much.
No, of course, of course.